Today we're looking at Gibson printed picks. These are the earliest printed picks of Gibson, occurring in the 1950s and early 1960s. Print became popular in the 1950s, and prior to that, in a previous video, we looked at Gibson impressed picks. That's picks that don't have any ink print, but they do have an impression made by a stamp that bears the Gibson logo. A little more difficult to see those type of logos, but they are older and most often rarer than these. This group has a lot to offer, though. We're looking at picks on celluloid of black, white, 10 different tortoise styles, including ice cube and wheat straw varieties. We have at least 18 different shapes, 2 different makers, including DeAndrea. This group up here is all DeAndrea made. This group down here, makers still not known, but believed to be out of the Chicago area. There are 5 corrugated picks in 2 different styles, and our logos include the arch logo, straight logo, raindrop, and 3 exclusive print types. So let's go look at some specific details. I did mention these are all DeAndrea. These are all DeAndrea shapes. It's their style of celluloid as well. In a previous video, we also looked at wheat straw patterns and ice cube patterns, and those really jump out. I have those at the top and center because that type of celluloid is among my a personal favorite of mine. And these darker celluloids, while they could be interesting at times, they just don't jump out at you like that. But at the top, we see the arch logo here, and we see the raindrop logo. Over here, we have some exclusive logos. These are all approximately 1958, 1960. And I say exclusive because I only show them on these 3 picks here. Now, I know they made them in other shapes, but they're very difficult to come by. If you take a look at this Gibson logo right here, it's the exact same logo as this, minus the raindrop, though. It's interesting that they were using blue print here and black print. Black print you might expect on white, but I think it's pretty cool that they choose to use blue in this case. Whether DeAndrea decided that or Gibson, that's a small unnecessary detail, but nonetheless, it does stand out. You may notice a Les Paul pick in here. That's featured in Gibson catalogs. He was well promoted by Gibson and a part of their staff. For whatever reason, the Les Paul fell out of favor with them, at least this pick did, and the Gibson Star became the replacement for that. I have 2 of them shown here because one's a thin and one is a medium gauge. Now, if we move down here to the unknown maker of these picks, and by the way, after Gibson acquired Epiphone, it's interesting to note that the same type of picks came out with the Epiphone logo, and undoubtedly Gibson had them produced for Epiphone. I've never seen an Epiphone pick prior to that actually had their logo on it. So Epiphone logos showing up, but actually made by Gibson after they acquired the company. A detail I'd like to take a look at and share with you here is the corrugation types. We've seen this in a past video, these 2 different types of corrugation. And here we have a distinct DeAndrea corrugation, and you can even see the DA marking impressed in it right there. And this corrugation style is very much different. The print style is very much different. And that's worth noting as well. These corrugated picks here on this Tiger Stripe celluloid down here, these picks, again, pretty difficult to find, but hattable nonetheless. It's certainly worth putting in one's collection. I've never given special attention to Gibson or Fender, even though those are 2 biggest names for guitars in the U.S., because as a collector, I like to give fair treatment to all picks, but I certainly have to acknowledge that Gibson and Fender are at the top of the list in terms of what the general public would like to acquire. and many non-pick collecting folks enjoy having these picks just to have them accompany their period instruments. So if they have an instrument from 1960, they may want a pick such as this from around that period of time to put in a case as well. I think I mentioned 18 different shapes already. And as you can see, this group here, it's made by that Chicago maker, does have some shapes that we don't see the same as D'Andrea. And I'm going to share that little detail right now. This is the D'Andrea 360 shape. And here's this maker. As you can see, there's a big difference in size. And this white pick does have those German features again, but I'm still not willing to go as far as to believe that the Germans were making Gibson picks. Now I have the white picks lined out in two different rows. The top row is like a cobalt white, very white, where the bottom row has a patina to it, almost ivory-like, and its print has much easier wore off than this top row of pure white. And as you can see, the logos fade in and out, some coming in strong, like this one right here, and some coming in very weak. This particular gold print style did not fare well during this period, and the trouble with a lot of Les Paul logos is they wore off as well. This happens to be a very good Les Paul logo here, but I don't know if it's going to show up. You could see almost like an outline around the name that isn't present on the Gibson Star pick. It's like they used a different stamp to do that one, a different type of hot stamp, maybe something experimental. But at least 10 years earlier, Bob Clifton was successfully printing on his picks with gold print. That did improve, especially into the 1970s, when gold print, hot stamp gold print, became really popular on picks. So again, I'll point out we got the ice cube celluloid, the wheat straw celluloid right here, especially these two varieties. This is very exclusive. Hardly beveled ends. I'm pretty sure D'Andrea made this pick, but the celluloid is so exquisite on that, the way the light passes through it. Other details we could take note of. D'Andrea produced this shape. They produced this shape back in the 1920s. And here we see it being made by this company as well. This again here, this peculiar shape, and this shape as well, also D'Andrea produced. So this company could have very well just co-opted D'Andrea's shapes and started making them. It's not beyond the pale that Gibson would use two different makers, since they were selling so many guitars and obviously so many picks at this point. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Take a good look at it. These picks are certainly worth having, and I wish you the best of luck in acquiring them for your own collection. Joe Macy, findpick7@yahoo.com. Feel free to leave a comment here on YouTube, even if it's a negative comment. That's okay. Thanks a lot for joining me. We'll see you later. Bye-bye.